Hello, you're welcome to a new course in your Android Nano Degree program. My name is Moses Adamu and I'm an Android developer, and I'll be taking you on a course today on user interface. You see, there's this beautiful feeling around developing an Android application and putting it out there for production. It's always so exciting to actually see what you have done, see your work actually out there. People downloading your app, people playing, people using your app, and navigating through all the features you put in your app. It's so amazing. And you know what? The user interface that we'll be looking at today is so important, because that is the very first thing people see after they have launched your app. How good your user interface is might determine whether your users are going to stay or stick with you or not. And the user interface brings the look and feel of the app, how you blend the colors, how you structure all your layouts and put all your views one place, one on top of another or one by the side of another. How do you fix your images, how do you fix your buttons? All that make up the user interface, and that determines how well the users are going to interact with your application. So we're going to be taking a little look into the layouts, the common layouts that we have in Android, and also be looking at how these layouts, some of the properties of these layouts, and how they can affect the general structure of our app and how our users interact with it. So I would love you to, join me on this journey as we take it one step at a time, and I'm sure that you are going to enjoy every single moment of it. Alright, let us go. Okay, just like I have mentioned, the user interface, your app user interface, is everything that a user can see and interact with. Let's take a look at all the images that we have here. You can see different things, and you can interact with buttons, you can interact with widgets, you can interact with text. You can actually have fields where you could actually edit a text or put in your own text. Now, all these make up your user interface that what your user can interact with. Okay, so you see, your user interface is made up of layouts. So a layout defines the structure for a user interface in your app, such as in an activity. So the layout gives like the skeletal framework on which every view in your app is going to be lined up. Now, I know you must have heard me mention view before, and I just said it again. Don't worry, we are looking at definition right now. All the elements in the layout are built using a hierarchy of views and view group objects. So a view usually draws something that the user can see or interact with. Example of a view is a button. Another view could be an image view. Another view could be a text view. Now, a text view, as its name implies, it takes text. An image view, as the name implies, it takes images. Now, we also have view group objects. So, a view group objects is basically a group of views, just all put together. So in developing your Android app, you're going to be using a lot of views, and all these views have to be arranged in a certain way, they have to be structured in a certain way. And now that brings us to actually use the layouts. So that's why I said the layout defines the structure for the user interface in your app. So when you arrange the views in a certain way, we call it a certain layout. Arrange it in another certain way, we call it something else. So that is what we're going to be looking at. And that's what we're going to be looking at right now. Okay, so for the purpose of the lesson of this course, we'll be looking at common layouts, which are the linear layout and the relative layout. And these are very common layouts that we will be using in our everyday development. So the very first one we'll be looking at is linear layout. Now, linear layout is a view group that aligns all children in a single direction, either vertically or horizontally. Now, you can also specify the layout direction. Now, in this particular image that is right here, all the children of this view group, that is child 1, child 2, and child 3 are all arranged horizontally. Now we could also arrange them vertically. So if you're using the linear layout, it means that for every view that you add to your layout, it will just fix itself horizontally or vertically after the previous view. So let us take a look at a simple linear layout. Now, if we look at this is a linear layout and it has a text view that says hello world. Now we can see the linear layout from this, and we can see the hello world output right here. Now let us add another text view. Now this is a text view. Now let us include another text view. So we have text view, add another text view. We say okay, wrap content and wrap content. But layout width, wrap content, layout height, wrap content. Now let us add a text to our text view, and let us say learning. We are learning. Yeah, we're learning. So now you can see. Let me increase the size of our text so that we can see it clearly. So let's go for text size and say maybe 30 sp. So right there, the text learning appears next to our text hello world. Now, because we have not specified that this linear layout should have a vertical orientation, it naturally takes a horizontal orientation. But now if we come right here and specify that the orientation of our linear layout should be vertical, immediately you see learning just goes under hello world. Now this is simply what happens. Now if we were to add another view, say a button, let's add a button, and yeah, wrap content and height wrap content. Now let us add a text for the button and say let us say layout, or just call it button. We'll call it button. So we call our text button now. So we can see we call the text in the button, we call it button. We can see the button just arranged there. Now if we change this to a horizontal layout, everything, the orientation to horizontal, everything arranges itself in a horizontal view. So let's say what we want really is vertical, and there you go. So we could actually include one more if it would work for us. We could actually include an image view. Say hey, let us include an image view, sorry, an image button, an image view. All right, and yeah, let it wrap the content and wrap the content, hoping we have a small image. So the source for our image at drawable, let's say this, and boom, there we go. That is our image. Now the image has come to fix itself just after the button. Now remember what happens when we change it to horizontal? Boom, everything goes horizontal. And then when we change it back to vertical, everything becomes vertical. All right. So now that we've taken a look at the linear layout, we can now look at what the relative layout means. So the relative layout is a view group that displays child views in relative positions, just like the name implies. So the position of each view can be specified as relative to sibling elements, such as to the left of or below another view, or in positions relative to the parent, such as aligned to the bottom, left, or center. So for the relative layout, you basically place a view and specify that it should be to the left of another view, or you place a view that it should be fixed relative to the parent, maybe at the bottom of the parent, or the top right of the parent, or the top left. So that is what the relative layout looks like. So we're going to take a look into Android Studio and see how it actually works. So here we have the relative layout. We can see it right here, relative layout, and we have a text view right here with also an ID. Now the way we communicate when using the relative layout is that we, when referring to a view, we actually refer to it using its ID. So we're just going to include another text view right here. Tell it to wrap content, and yep, we're going to give the text view an ID. We shouldn't forget that. And let's call it text2 now. So we're going to give add some value to text, write something in it. Let's call it learning, just like we did previously. Now, okay, let's add some text size. Let's do some text size. Alright, so make it 30 sp, and so it looks like hello world. Now it just comes and overlaps right here on top of hello world because we have not specified where it should be. So now we'll have to give it a place and say it should be fixed below, right below ID, right below text1, and give it that instruction. It quickly obeys you and stays right below text1. We could also fix it, say, to the right of text1, and it fixes itself right to the right of text1. Now we could also include a button, and so wrap content, and we put some text in the button. Put some text in the button. Call it button. Okay, so we need to give the button an ID. We need to give the button an ID. We call it button. And now we're going to refer to text2 and put the button right under text2. So we say layout, layer below text2. So there we go. So now the button is set relative to text2. Now where is it? Is right below text2. Now, but if we want it directly under text2, then we need to add another parameter there and say we should go to the right of text1. So now the button is not just the position of this button. The position of this button is not just relative to text1. It's not relative to text2, like right below text2, but it's also relative to text1. So you can see this button is placed relative to these other two text views. Now that is how the relative layout works. You put many other, you could add many other things. Let's even maybe put another button right in the mix right there, and say the value for this button should be probably button 2. Okay, and say we don't want it to have all this position, so it just goes to the default position where you have the other things, where the default position on the parent, and let's assume we want it to have a position relative to a parent. So let's say align parent button and make it true, and your button goes right to the bottom of the parent. So now its position is not relative to text1 or text2 or the button. It is relative to the parent. So now we'll align it to the bottom of the parent. Then simply put, that is how relative. Okay, we have come to the end of this course, this lesson. This lesson on Android user interface. We started looking at the user interface and how important it is that it's the first point of contact your users have with your application once your application is launched. And we also looked at some basic building blocks in the user interface. That's the layouts, and we looked at some common layouts like linear layout and relative layout. We also looked at some of the basic properties in the linear layout and relative layout, and saw some code on how these things work. And I would encourage you to actually go on and get the other resources online, especially in the Android developer platform, and learn a lot about these things. Go read a lot more, do some practice, get some practice tests, work on them, and keep pushing, keep building, and always strive to be the best that you can be. From my end, this is all we'll be doing today. We'll see you in the next course. Thank you.